Today on New Music Friday, we're going to talk about the new albums from Being as Ocean and Enterprise Earth and talk about a ton of new singles that just dropped. See you in a second. What is up, YouTube, and welcome to New Music Friday. I'm your host, Sean Mott, and with me, as always, my co-host, my partner in crime, my metalcore buddy, Matt Roth. What's up, dude?
What's up, dude? New Music Fridays. We got a lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about. A lot of new music's come out lately.
Yeah,
It's been
dude.
nice.
Yes, there has been. And some tours, or a tour.
There's been some tours. Yeah. Escape the Fate's doing an emo orchestra tour.
Oh, I didn't even see that one. I was talking about the Bayside Armor for Sleep Finch one.
Yeah.
Looked
That's a
pretty
good
rad.
tour. That's a
But I
good
did
tour. And
not.
also the first crack in my tour rumor that I reported on. Obviously, Armor for Sleep's not going to be on that Hawthorne Heights tour.
They were very quick to debunk that.
Yeah. Debunked it really real and really fast. But that's a cool tour. Bayside put out a new single, which sounds like a Bayside song, which in my world,
Yes,
awesome.
you know I love it. Yeah, no spoilers there.
This week, since there's been so many singles that have come out in the last few weeks, we decided we're going to pick our two favorite each and then chat about them. So, Matt, I'm going to let you go first. What's your first pick here?
You know what, man? I'm gonna go with Creatures by Landmvrks. I like this. I love this band a lot. It's one
Sick
that
band.
I've been listening to. And then what really stuck out to me was like the opening is in like French. And so it's kind of
Yep.
like a French hip hop opening. And then the way
Yeah.
they transition from that into like their cleans and their heavy vocals and like the breakdowns, there's like three genres mixed into one in this song. And I
Yep.
was sitting there like, all right, I was vibing, the French hip hop, and then it broke into like some cleans, and I was like, all right, all right. And then they got heavy into some break. I was like, dang, this motherfucker is spitting right now. And yeah, no, that song, it goes hard, man. I listen to it probably every day since it's come out so far, just because it's become a favorite for me.
Yeah, and they have the sick closed hi-hat breakdown. That breakdown goes
Yes.
hard. I love that. As soon as it kicked in, I was like, here we go. Here we
I was
go.
ready. I was ready to fight in my car. The imaginary ghost. I was.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the video is like a very cinematic, extended, almost like short film type video.
Oh, I haven't
Super,
watched
super,
the video yet.
super
No.
sick. First single is Half Me. They've started releasing new music recently, and they have a sick new logo. But they released a new single called Quitter Talk, which is just a fucking banger. It's such a banger. It's heavy. It's also got like a really massive chorus. It's a super, super sick song. And I can't wait to hear more of this band. It seems like they're prepping for a new album. If I'm missing info on an album that they've announced, my bad. I'm not researching that well enough, but I'm stoked to hear more. The last two singles they put out have been really, really cool. So I'm very excited to hear more. Did you check out this one?
I haven't yet. I've been making my way through the metalcore nerds pull list. If you're not listening to that, here's your chance, because Sean's out there updating the singles every time they drop. So I've been listening to others, kind of going through the playlist pretty much every morning to get me emotionally ready to go into my day job. But I am a sucker for some really good choruses, man. They tend to make or break a song pretty well. So
Yeah.
the fact that this one has a banger of one, I'm pretty pumped to listen to. So I'll probably listen to it tomorrow. Yeah, this one goes hard. This one gets me like in fight mode. It's Sleepless Deathbed by Animate. Man, it's just like this band really gets me going. When I'm working out, when I just need that mindset of I'm ready to fuck some shit up. And Sleepless Deathbed got me right there in an instant. Like the second the song kicks off, I'm going hard. Like get me out of mosh retirement hard. It's dude, I love this band a lot. I can't say enough. I really
good
love,
band.
a lot of the unclean vocals almost remind me of like North Lane's old school kind of vocals a little bit. They kind of have that similar like pitch to them. But yeah, no, dude, Animate. I freaking love this band.
Yeah, that band is so sick, and it's so cool to hear them release another new single like fresh off their new album last year. It's pretty unorthodox to have like a full length and then a new single the next year after. But I'm not complaining. Very, very good single. Very like the band is super sick. And then I'm gonna wrap up the single talk with the Plot and News latest single, Closure. ever since they've kind of changed their sound to this more, I don't know, I don't wanna say mainstream because mainstream is the wrong word, but he's Landon has incorporated more of the singing
Yeah.
into the band in the last, like, number of years, and I feel like it's really elevated the band into, this unique style and this super just, like, polished sound that they have, and every time they put out new music, I'm always super stoked, and this new song, "Closure," is just a testament to that. On to some album reviews. We're gonna kick this off with Being as an Ocean. This is their new album, Death Can Wait. This is the band's first album since 2019. It is their sixth studio album. This one coming out on of Out of Line Music. Now, Matt, general thoughts. I want to hear what you think first.
You know, I didn't love it. I liked it.
Mhm.
It's didn't break any ground for me. I think their strongest suit, and it's the strongest suit that they've always had, is their lyrics are so poetic. You know,
Mm.
they it's almost like slam poetry in some regards, kind of when he's not singing, not
Spoken
screaming.
word stuff.
Yeah, you know, it flows very well, and they this is something that they've carried on through here, and I think they do really well. But I thought a lot of the riffs were kind of like, okay, this is you know a heavy riff, sure. I liked Gloom a lot. That was probably my favorite song on the album. But
Interesting.
overall, man, like it wasn't bad.
I'm along the same wavelength as you. I wanted you to go at first because I had no idea where you stood with the record at all. So I
I know.
wanted
Well,
to see it.
that's what I like because like I've been tempted with these two albums to tell you where I stood on them, but then I'm like no because that's half the fun of doing the show. We don't know. We
Exactly.
don't tell each other our thought unless it's like Dying Wish, and I'm like this fucking rips.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the problem with this record to me is that it feels a little too much like they're still trying to dial something in. Like they
Yes,
got
yes.
it feels more experimental than an evolution. And I think that's my issue with it. Some songs are really good. Like Flesh and Bone, the first single they put off, I was like, yo, this song rips. And that's
I
like
do like
being an
Flesh and Bone a
ocean
lot. Yeah.
at its like strong suit. It is songs like that. And I think the heavy stuff they tried just didn't land for me. Like the riffs were kind of lame for the heavy stuff. The scream just didn't fit to the band for me. And maybe that's just a personal preference, but it just didn't work for me. And uh again, there was songs that I think are great, but as a record, I think it's very mediocre because it doesn't feel like a record. I talk about this all the time in the show. And if you're new to the show, this is something that I will talk about all the time. It does not feel like a full record. It feels like they were trying some new stuff out, which is cool, but as a whole, it kind of missed the mark a little bit. But the good songs brought up to a point where I'm like, okay, this was still a good listen. So not a fully negative review, but not an overly positive one. All right, Matt, for rating, I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of 5.
So
Overpassing, but not failing.
you
What
know
did you
what's
give it?
funny is that was exactly the rating I was giving it to.
Well,
I was going 3.5. I was like, watch, I feel like he was gonna give it like a 3 out of 5 or something like that.
I
But it's
usually do
funny.
rate lower than you.
You do, you do, yeah, you know. But that's the beauty of music. We all feel something differently.
Yeah.
But we're on the same page on this one.
Yeah, for sure. And then we're gonna finish out the show with Enterprise Earth, their new album, Death and Anthology. This is the band's fifth studio album. This one's coming out via Monarch Heavy, and this is the first album with the new vocalist Travis Warland. This album gave me the exact opposite feelings of what Being as Ocean did. It feels like an evolution. It feels like a final form of a band. Getting Travis as their vocalist is the best thing this band has ever done. Just straight up. I went into this album with literally no expectations at all. I've said it before, not really a deathcore guy. I like most of it. It's very hard for me to love something with deathcore, but this album blew me away, and I am not joking. Easily the biggest surprise of the year for me so far as music. There's insane riffs, there's massive singing choruses, there's the epic symphonic parts, there's guitar solos, singing over
Dude, there's
blast
a
beats.
really good drum solo that kind of goes on, and dang, I can't remember. I think it was it spineless, I think. About
Yeah, that's
halfway
like a
through,
massive, like, proggy song.
they get into like this really good like drum solo, and I was just like, all right, damn, like I
Yeah.
was feeling that drum solo.
And I love that shit, and usually I'm not a fan of that stuff. Usually I'm like, "This is whack. This is I could go take a nap." But and a lot of the songs are really long, and I'm kind of like a
They are,
3-minute
yeah.
3-minute song guy. That's kind of my sweet spot of songs, song lengths at least. And a lot of these songs are like 6,
They
7
have
minutes long, and
2
I'm
songs
and
that are 7 minutes long, 2 songs that are
yeah,
6 minutes and 40 seconds, and then they have a 5-minute 43, and then the rest are 4 minutes at minimum, without the exception of the opening, ballad.
yeah. And I wasn't bored by any of them, which is a testament to them because usually I am. So
Yeah.
it's a massive plus. Like I think Enterprise Earth is one of the most unique bands in this genre, hands down.
Did
That might be a bold statement, but seriously, this album blew me away. It is so dynamic and has so much of like a genre like melting pot going on. It's honestly, seriously blew my mind. This album.
Did you get what I got with a lot of, like, the guitar whams and whines was kind of a, Avenged Sevenfold feel with a
I
lot of the
could see that.
guitars. Yeah, like, they used to have that, like, "Wow!" like, that kinda sound. They had a lot of that influence in there, which I thought was pretty cool because it's meshing that kinda hard rock with, deathcore at certain things, and then they had some really, really interesting riffs.
They had some solos that were in like harmonizing parts that were definitely Avenged Sevenfold S. Now that you mentioned that, for sure, I was like, dude, this album is sick. One of my favorite songs is Blood and Teeth, which is kind of like this ballad e type song. Ballad is kind of almost like wrong to describe it, but it's what came to my mind when I started that song. But my other favorite song is Face of Fear. It's the first like full song of the record, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And that chorus of that song, when the singing came in, I was like,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
okay.
I was impressed because I wasn't expecting that. Like, again, like, one thing that they do really well with this album is you think you know where the song is going,
Yeah.
but then it takes you in the other direction. But that's not a bad thing because it works,
No.
and you're just like, oh, all right. For a second, you're like, what's happening? And then all of a sudden, you're like, fucking hell yeah, this is going pretty good. And I fuck with this album.
Me too. Me too. I heavily focus on rating. Matt, what are you giving this one out of 5?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 4 out of 5. I liked it.
Okay.
It wasn't like, "I love this. This is the best thing ever," and that's okay because I really enjoyed it. I thought they brought a lot of hate, that I really enjoyed. I thought there was a lot of really cool instrumental things, like I mentioned, that they did
Mm.
well, and the vocals were really well. So for me, I'm gonna go a 4 out of 5.
For once, I'm higher than you. I'm giving this one 4.5 out of 5.
Hey, there we go. Look at that.
Really, really love this record. Honestly, it shocked me in the best way possible. So, I'm very, very stoked on this record, and I think it's got a pretty good slot of staying in my top 10 till the end of the year, and that's 2 records that I think will probably make the cut by the end of the
Ooh,
year.
ooh.
I could be wrong. I'm very happy to be proven wrong, but I think this year January started off pretty strong with some
Yeah,
some
I would
really
agree.
good records
Typically, you don't see January as such a strong month, whether
for
it's
sure.
singles or because they just for whatever reason, it seems like March, April, those are kind of the
Ramping
heavier
into the
months.
summer season, yeah.
Right, and then also you gotta think like tours kick up again because the
Yep.
winter's over kinda deal. So we got some, and I mean, even like I wanna shout out real quick, I didn't pick them, but Fit for a King's newest single, I really
Sick.
liked. Like, Ryan's trying some things with his vocals too, like the clean. He tried to go a little bit more clean on this, and I thought it worked really well. So I want to shout
You
out
can tell they've
Ryan.
been touring with the Devil Wears Prada. There's some
Yes,
vocally, there's some definitely some Devil Wears Prada feeling stuff, and
there really
that's not a
was.
knock. I dug it. I think it works for the band,
I think,
very,
yeah,
very well.
because I think Jeremy's probably the best clean metal core vocalist in the genre. I've always loved his vocals. Always, anytime him and Mike play so well together.
Yeah.
They're obviously one of my favorite bands in the scene. Unfortunately, they're here in Richmond, but it's next Wednesday, the night before I leave for 5 days to go to Orlando. So I'm gonna miss them again. They came through twice
Yeah.
on the the Dropouts tour, and I'm gonna
I
miss them
just missed
again.
it too
Yeah,
yesterday.
dude. But I will say that that tour with Currents, um, that's coming around. They come to Richmond, I
Yeah.
think May 5th. So I'm gonna hit that tour because I've never seen Currents live, so I'm pretty pumped for that one.
Dying Wish. And
Yeah,
friends of the show, Mugshot. Shout out fucking Mugshot.
dude, I'm
Fucking
pumped
best
for that
dude.
one. That's gonna be a really
Best
good
dudes on
show.
the planet. Yeah, touring with the Amity Affliction. Yeah, make sure
Yes.
you
Yeah,
check
that's right.
that tour out.
Is it their 10-year that they're doing
Yeah.
for? Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, so the awesome tour that you should definitely be supporting this summer. But that's it for New Music Friday. We'll see you again when there's some new music to talk about. Sometime there's quite a bit coming in February, so there'll definitely be a few episodes in February. But until then, we'll see you guys later.
Peace.